anybody who grew up in the 90s knows who R.L. Stein is. I mean, he was a staple. Most people, though, know him from Goosebumps, which is great and all, but my personal favorite has always been Fear Street. So today, we're going to talk about the new trilogy that came out on Netflix. And I'm also going to show you a few minor comparisons to the books, but don't be disappointed. It's not what you think. So, to give me a hand with all this, I'm going to bring in a little special somebody that decided to join me today. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm all right. Ida says hi too.
All right. Well, tell everybody who you are.
All right. My name is CapnBootz. All over the internet. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. I Twitch on stream. That's the thing. I stream on Twitch. I'm also on YouTube. I draw and stuff. I actually have fan art up on my YouTube that will be posted after this video.
Yay!
To promo this video. So yeah,
cool.
I give away portraits and stuff like that. So join on in whenever you have the chance. Cartoons or whatever.
Well, thank you for coming today to actually help me out with this.
Of course.
Okay, so I guess let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the first one, Fear Street 1994. So obviously this one takes place in the 90s. It's all about, I guess, mainly how it gets started without learning, who the actual person is that's causing it all. You kind of see the background and where Fear Street really kind of began whenever he first started writing his books. So the first thing I noticed, of course, is wrong number was shown. And I'm going to tell you a little tidbit. There's not a whole lot about it actually within the movie, unless you want to look at the fact that the main character is Dina. So maybe that's where the name comes from. But also, see how we have R.L. Stein here? It's actually, if you pay attention to the movie, shown as Robert Lawrence, which is what the R.L. stands for. I just think that's so cool.
That is pretty cool, honestly.
Yes. So what did you think about 94?
Honestly, like I see all over the internet that everyone likes the movie and it's so boss and blah, but I don't know, it was kind of underwhelming for me. I watched it twice,
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I liked it. I thought the characters were okay, but I thought that going into it, it would be more of the Fear Street that I remember, I guess, and it was it seemed more like a teen sort of pseudo horror movie up until like the end.
Yeah, and well, I read also, I did a whole lot of research about this.
Mm-hmm.
They actually did try to make it based kind of on Scream, like with the whole phone calls, the slasher thing. Yeah, they actually did try to make it like kind of a memoir to the Scream movies or the first Scream.
Were they just like big fans, or is like what's the reason behind that?
I really don't know. I never could find exactly why, but I'm like you. It almost fell flat. Not saying it wasn't good.
Yeah.
But when you read the books, especially back in the 90s and stuff, when you're teenagers and you're really into it, that stuff was scary.
Yeah, seriously. Like,
it
was nightmare fuel, but this movie was just like, okay, this is a little dabble into horror. We'll show you some cool stuff or whatever. I did appreciate touching on the Scream fun fact. One of the characters, I forgot his name, Simon, I think is his name.
Okay.
He's the very bubbly comedic character. He did remind me of one of the characters from Scream, so that now it makes sense.
Yeah, and with the I don't know. Again, I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I didn't feel like the characters had the chemistry they needed either.
Same.
Like, you had the whole Dina Sam thing, and Dina had her moments where she was kind of okay, but I'll be honest, Sam just got on my last nerve.
Sam is just a spoiled little girl, honestly, throughout the whole first part. I don't know. It just, she doesn't really have much of a personality. She's just like, hey, I'm a plot device. Use me as you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like every time it was her and Dina on screen, it kind of felt like I don't care about this romance that they're supposed to have.
No, not at all. They didn't fit.
It didn't. It really didn't. And like, it's so. I'll touch on what I want to say when we get to that part. But in 94, it feels like Dina has this whole I am a surly teenager, and that's all she is, and it's just like she could be so much more. Like it feels like what is her name? Kate's name. Kate's character feels like she should have been like her whole story should have probably been more towards the main character side. Just because she has way more of a personality, she has more story, she has just more everything.
Yeah, definitely. And also I forgot to mention, as far as like book comparison, there was also this other book, Fear Street Cheerleaders, The First Evil. This is the only other book that I could find that kind of relates to the book, because none of them actually do, which is really disappointing, because the actual trilogy is not based on any one specific book or even 3 books. It's just kind of like a hodgepodge of weird stuff. I don't know.
So it kind of just was title instead of being directly.
Right, exactly. And in Fear Street Cheerleaders, you have Corky and Bobby. They join a cheer squad, which Sam is a cheerleader. They have this weird accident. Don't even ask me what happened, because I don't know. But they have some kind of weird accident right at the Fear Street Cemetery. Whereas in the movie, of course, you've got Dina and Sam. They have this accident with the bus and everything. But it's not at the cemetery. It's right there in the woods over Sarah Fear's grave. Or, that's when they find it or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's the only comparison. It's kind of disappointing.
It's kind of just like, from what it sounds like, it's like, we're going to take our favorite sort of relevant scenes that kind of fit into what we want to say from Fear Street in general. Just this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, these movies.
I guess I was kind of hoping that when it came to these, there would be like specific books that I could say, oh my gosh, let me read this whole book and I'm going to see the movie.
Yeah.
But that just doesn't happen at all. So
that's slightly disappointing.
I mean, what else did you think of the movie?
Of 94?
Yeah. Like specifically. Any key points that you loved, didn't love, anything like that?
Okay, so I've mentioned this quite a few times in us discussing these movies. I don't like the cop. I don't like him at all. Officer Good, or as the janitor says, good, more like Officer Evil. Like, yes. I love that character, by the way. Like, every time it was either him or Kate on screen, I was just like, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want.
Yeah.
So like, I was so hoping that he would play a bigger role. Or like we would see him more on screen or whatever. I don't know why I thought that, considering that we know that the others were named 78 and 66. But I really liked his character for some reason. It's just like his comedy grabbed me. But the cop I did not like him at all.
No, I get it. I didn't either. I couldn't stand him. And he's not mentioned in any books either, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there. There's like no cop at all.
That's a shame. I'm sure that they could have grabbed a character from any of the books and made him into that character and like played it up a bit, but I don't know. It's just like, I know we're supposed to again care. Like we're supposed to I guess fall into trusting him because his name is Good and he's a police officer. But we immediately just I just immediately just did not like him. And maybe
I didn't either.
Or I don't know.
There was nothing good about him, in my opinion.
Other than his name. Like
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What about you?
The only part that I can say I actually kind of enjoyed were a couple of the death scenes. There was a couple that was pretty cool. Aside from that, I wasn't a huge fan. I liked the 90s feel of it, the aesthetics that they gave it. That was kind of cool because it was like, kind of feels like you're living back in your teenage years, So other than that, I really don't have like a favorite part of 1994. And that's kind of sad. It's disappointing.
Yeah, it kind of all just like blends together into one thing. It's like a cable TV movie. Like you have it on in the background, like, oh, this looks cool, and then you just have it on. You know? Like you'll watch it, but I wouldn't pay to watch it in a theater, which is kind of a shame.
It is. I
Yeah.
was hoping for so much more.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I didn't feel that way about this 1978.
Oh, me either. I love
actually
78.
loved that.
78 was awesome. 78 had a bit of everything. I loved it.
I thought it was so great. And especially, okay, I'll go ahead and talk about the book part real quick.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of books that it was kind of based off of. You have Lights Out. That is the only Fear Street book that actually mentions Camp Nightwing. Like literally the only one. Which is really kind of funny because you would think if you read Trapped,
Mm-hmm.
it actually has a whole lot, and so does what is it called? Fear Park: The First Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Those two books are like the entirety of 1978, like literally, because you've got. All right, I guess you could say Trapped is probably more closely related because you've got Holly Flynn, who's the lead character. She basically represents both Cindy and Ziggy Berman.
Okay.
Because she's a camp counselor like Cindy. She's constantly trying to make sure everybody's happy and stay safe and all that, just like Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And she also had a falling out with her best friend Jerry, like Cindy had with her best friend Alice.
Oh, okay.
But she also represents Ziggy because she didn't want to be at the camp. She actually hated it. All the other campers and counselors hated her, just like they did with Ziggy.
Wow.
And like you see kind of, I mean, this is kind of minor, but you see in 78 where Ziggy hates snakes, yet they always keep coming to her and stuff. Same thing with Holly. She absolutely hated them. So that's like another little semblance. So it's actually Holly Flynn is pretty much both of them put together, which is pretty great.
That's so interesting to just like mash all of that into one character.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't even think it takes place at Camp Nightwing, which is kind of sad. But then you have this Fear Park, The First Scream, and it doesn't take place at a camp, but there's this theme park that they had built right over where the tree is. I guess where the mall would be in 94.
Okay.
But it's this big theme park, and all this weird stuff starts happening. And, you know, like Tommy Slater becomes the Axeman, or, excuse me, the Nightwing Killer. I call him the Axeman because he was just awesome.
Yeah,
he really was. But you have, in the book, you have Richard Bradley does the exact same thing. He picks up an axe and he goes around the whole theme park killing everybody.
Is the motivation, is it the same? Or is
yes. Yeah,
Oh.
it's his name is specifically written. It's not like where in 78 it's like multiple names, you know. It's just his name pops up.
Oh, okay.
So he becomes the Nightwing, not the Nightwing Killer, excuse me, the theme park killer, I guess. Yeah. But it's really cool how those all like coincide together, you know.
It's funny, like this one feels like it's based the most off of, from what you're saying, the most off of the book. And then it ends up, in my opinion, being like the best of the three.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's
by
like
far.
It's great. That's pretty cool.
Far.
That's a fun fact. I like
what was your favorite parts of it, of 78?
Oh man, 78 as a whole was just pretty good. Yeah, because like 94 was really light on the actual horror. I felt. Yeah. You know, it was light on the kills. It was like we had one cool scene where it was kind of gory with Kate and the bread slicer, which was nice. Well, not nice, but you know what I mean. And
well, that was my favorite part of it. So
yeah, exactly. Like, you know, those little things are what we went to see. But 78, it was like that from beginning to end. It wasn't just one or two scenes that you could nitpick from here and there. It was
exactly.
Yeah, it was beginning to end. It was great. Like, you cared about all the characters. The drama didn't feel like it was too much and they were trying to shove it in your face. You know, you actually cared about what happened to them and stuff like that. And the relationships that they built up in this movie, which kind of just like, I don't know, because the like we said, the Dina and Sam thing, we're just like, I don't care. But then we had the sister relationship with Cindy and Cindy?
Yeah. Cindy and Ziggy.
There you go. I thought I had Cindy's name wrong. But yeah, the relationship between Cindy and Ziggy, like, we actually care about them. And, you know, that relationship carries the movie and it makes it matter more. And it's great, you know? And the
you know,
romance
I was
isn't on our
almost
faces either.
rooting for, I don't remember his name. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is stupid. Nick. I was actually almost rooting for Ziggy and Nick because they were so cute.
Same. I thought the same thing, and I was like, "Oh, this is adorable." We have like a little Romeo and Juliet thing going on, and I really liked it.
Exactly.
Oh man,
They
it
were
was
so
my
cute.
thing. Yeah, they had a little. You just use this word. they had good chemistry on screen, and I like that.
Yes, they did. Absolutely. And it's just such a shame that he's the cop and he's just not cool.
Just like, how are they the same character? How are they the same character? I hate it so much. Like, just, oh man, that was just, when we find that out, I'm just like, when we piece it together, I'm just like, really?
Yeah. And even at the end, it was so disappointing because I really thought, okay, he's genuine. I wasn't putting it together that he was a good. I was ignoring that because I was like, he's a genuine dude. He likes Ziggy and they're so cute. And then whenever he looks at her at the end and he gives her this basic, I don't give a crap about you look, when she's like dying on the stretcher, I'm just like, no.
Well, that's not what you showed me through the rest of, how dare you?
Exactly.
Like, how dare you lie? Just no. I am not a fan of this. Like,
it was just so disappointing. It really was. Okay, so let's move on to 1666. Tell me your thoughts on that before I even bring up the book, because I've actually got a bit to say about books on this one.
Okay. Well, it's funny because 66 is the one that I have the least notes taken for, but it's not because I didn't like it. I was just so, maybe it's just because I'm a sucker for not old timey movies, but movies set in that time period.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm biased in that way, but I was just sucked into the movie from the beginning.
Oh, I liked it too. I'm not going to say I didn't. It was good.
It sucks that, like, I heard a lot of people didn't like 66.
I did too, and I don't understand why.
Because I posted it on Instagram that I was marathoning the trilogy, right?
Right.
And I had gotten a few responses, and all of them, literally all of them, were, I liked 94 and 78, but 66 was meh. I hated it. It was slow and bleh and bleh. And I'm like,
I didn't think so.
I didn't feel this. I did not feel that way at all.
No, especially being the fact that they took it from, of course, you started out like at 94.
Yeah.
And then she's like jerked back to 66, or 1666, I should say. Mm-hmm. She's jerked all the way back there. And then at the end, you come back to 94 and you see how it all ties together and how it ends.
Exactly.
I didn't see that as slow at all. Like,
me either. I couldn't figure out what they were taught. Like, there was one specific person who was just like, oh, it was really slow and it was hard to keep my attention on and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but from the very beginning, they're telling you what's happening. They're explaining everything in detail. Yeah. Like, how are you not interested in this? This is the lore. Like,
exactly. I mean, she literally takes the hand, puts it back with the body, and then poof, she becomes Sarah Fear.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I don't know.
I did too.
I thought it was funny that they used all the same character actors to like play everyone in 1666. I thought that was great.
It kind of reminded me of like an American Horror Story feel, where you've got all these actors and different storylines and stuff.
Exactly.
I think that's so cool. I love it.
I thought that was cool.
But now, okay, so I'm going to tell you there is one book that is very specifically based off of this movie, or the movie was based off of this book.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a role reversal, where we have Sarah Fear being condemned and accused as being a witch. In Fear Street Saga, The Betrayal, you actually have the lead character, Susanna Good, being accused of being a witch in that one.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So she has her lover, I'm not even going to add or try to think of who it is, but the lover is a guy. It's not like Sarah and Hannah. It's, you know what? I have it here. Okay, it's Edward. Her and Edward Fear are together, secretly and all that kind of stuff. They're not supposed to be. But same scenario where you have like the soil is all messed up and the crops get ruined, water gets ruined and stuff in the movie, and suddenly that's what happens that makes them say you're a witch.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing in the book. You've got their soil, I think. Yeah, the soil is completely ruined. Water is gone. And all of a sudden they come to Susanna Good and they say, you're a witch. You've ruined it all.
What is the reasoning in the book for blaming her for
that? Same kind of scenario. They just assume.
Oh,
they basically just assume. There is no real reasoning behind it, which is kind of strange because, there's many reasons that soil can get messed up or water, but it was all on her. They just assumed. And you also learn that, like in the movie where Solomon Good turns out to have made that deal with the devil,
mm-hmm.
It turns out in the book, Solomon Good is a warlock. The entire family are warlocks and witches.
So, wow.
I know.
So they're like actual practicing.
Yes.
Like they actually do magic and stuff like that. It's not
actually do it all.
That's so funny because
you've got the whole generational hand down where the Goods ended up passing it down from firstborn to firstborn.
Yeah.
Well, in the book, it's actually the Fear family passing it down, which is what is assumed in the movies.
Yeah. And
it's actually true in the book.
That's interesting.
I know, right?
So they just like twist it completely. That's okay. That's fun. I like that.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty cool. Interesting little thing. But no other book other than just that one tells you anything else. That's like pretty much the whole thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually kind of cool because it really is the movie, except reversed,
That's pretty cool. I like that though. Like it's like their own interpretation. Well, it is their own interpretation of it.
Yeah.
And like if you walked in expecting that adaptation and then like just being thrown that twist,
yeah,
I think that's fun.
Yeah, because it still fits and you can still actually see it playing out even if you're reading the book and it's reversed, It's like, oh wow, I can actually still see this, which is kind of neat. I like that.
That's pretty cool. I like that a lot.
What else did you like about 66? What was your favorite part?
Surprisingly, I don't know what I thought was really interesting, right, is that we have Dina and Sam in 1994, right? Yeah. We don't care about you and I anyway, don't care about their romance or whatever. They're just bratty teenagers, blah. But in 66, we have the same actors playing basically the same characters, sort of, but we care so much more. And I mean, I guess it's because there's like this added tension and there's more drama behind why they can't be together and all that stuff. But I actually believe it more.
I do too. And the actresses, for some reason, they had more chemistry in this one. I don't know if it was more of they planned it that way. They didn't want them to have that chemistry. Maybe because they were split up at the beginning and stuff. They didn't want the chemistry to really be there in 94. But in 66, it was like totally, they meshed.
Yeah. It was completely different. It was like night and day. And, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Just go.
I was just going to say that actually makes sense, though. Because of the distance in 94, they were broken up. Sam had moved away to get away from Shadyside. I almost forgot the name of the town. But she moved away to get away from all the evil and everything. It makes sense, I guess, that they wouldn't have that initial chemistry in 94. But in 66, that wasn't the case. It was kind of like a forbidden romance.
Yeah.
Which makes the chemistry like tighter.
Yeah. Especially because she's the pastor's daughter. Oh my God. Like,
oh yeah.
I thought that was fun. Like that whole scene with them at the the campfire thing that they weren't supposed to be at. That was like, when I saw where it was going, I'm like, okay, we're gonna get another one of these scenes. And in 94, it just did not play well. But then in this one, it was just like, oh, well then, okay.
Yeah. It actually it fit. I don't know. It was so different, completely different.
Yeah. And more of the movie was based around this romance, like it was the whole reason for everything happening the way that it did, but it didn't feel like it was shoved in my face. So I could appreciate that, you know?
Right. Do you have, like, thinking back on it now, do you have any thoughts about, you know, that red moss that shows up in the tunnels and, well, like everywhere? What are your thoughts on that? Because I actually read something really interesting about the meaning of that moss.
I couldn't really put together what that moss was supposed to mean. I mean, I know that it comes from Sarah Fear, right? And it's like her symbol of the fact that she's still there and she's, I guess, infecting, or her thing is just like spreading over the land. And, you know, if you thought that I cursed the land before, I definitely cursed it now, or something like that. You know, that's what I thought it was.
Okay, well, reverse that, though, because I want you to think back to 66.
Mm-hmm.
If you really think about it, when Hannah puts that wreath, or not wreath, excuse me, that crown around her head before they bury her, it's with that red moss.
Yeah.
That red moss is actually a symbol of Sarah and Hannah's love, because Sarah was never actually cursing anything.
Yeah.
Through all of them. It was never her. We learned that. So that was actually showing a sign, kind of like a sign of Hannah and Sarah's love for each other, trying to spread it throughout Shadyside.
The power of love.
I know, right?
The moss is the power of love. I love that. Oh, I love that so much.
So cool.
I love that. I love that so much. That's great.
It gives the moss like not such a creepy feel.
Yeah, it does. It gives it like a more wholesome type of thing. And it's like this gorgeous red shade too. Like,
right?
That's great.
Oh my gosh.
That's sweet.
Well, you know, I really don't have much else to say about any of them, except all in all, after watching all three of them, even though 94 wasn't my favorite, when you think back on them and kind of tie them all together, you know, actually, if you started from 1666 and watched them backwards, it actually ties together pretty darn well.
It does.
Even though 94 was kind of lackluster, if you watch them differently and think about them now after seeing all three of them, it kind of brings more light to 94, in my opinion.
That I will agree with you on.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it feels like if you did watch them backwards, it feels like 94 is kind of like the tail end where they just shoved all the leftover story that is like, this stuff happened too, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is, you know, relevant in some way, which I hate that feeling, but, you know, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
All of them can't be perfect, you know?
Oh, well, no.
There's going to be a miss.
It should be, because, I mean, it's R.L. Stine and it's Fear Street, but unfortunately, you know.
I mean, not every adaptation is going to be as great as we want it to be. Harry Potter.
You know, I'll be honest, I've never watched all of the Harry Potters.
You and I are going to have a talk.
I know. I've seen like most of them. I want to say that the only one I really haven't seen is like the last one or two. Something like that.
Funny. It's really funny because 94 feels like the first half of those two movies. Like,
oh, great.
That's the immediate connection that I made when I finished the trilogy, was that, 94 just feels like Deathly Hallows Part 1. That's like exactly the same feeling that I walked away with.
Huh. Okay. Well, now I'm going to have to watch so I can see.
Just fun fact. As an obsessed with Harry Potter.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today to do this. I've had a blast. Seriously.
Oh, same. This was fun.
It was. We're going to have to do it again sometime. We'll pick something else like amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Or not amazing. You could just bitch about it.
Well, you know, we could review just a flat out bad movie. You never know. Yeah.
Just toss popcorn at the camera. Just bad. No. You're bad and your movie's
They'll see something yellow flying at their faces. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'm going to let you off of here and I will talk to you another time. Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Bye. So there you have it, guys. Mine and Bootz's views of Fear Street Trilogy, 1994, 1978, and 1666. I hope y'all enjoyed this. And as always, if you did, like and subscribe to the video below. And go check out Boots too. She's amazing. She is one of the sweetest people I have ever met. And, you know, you just need to look at her stuff. So, again, thank y'all for coming, and I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great night.